Welcome to Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu.
And I am Alfred Ocansey.
The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours, Accra Police Command and conveners of Free the Citizens protest agree on route for the 3-day demonstration against illegal mining.
Also, here on Hot Edition, organized labor's deadline for government to declare a state of emergency over illegal mining elapses with no sign of concrete action taking to halt the illicit activity. We have details and reactions from Labour and what to expect tomorrow, October 1.
Tonight, we engage organized labor on their next line of action as they hold crunch meeting tomorrow. Also tonight, brace yourselves to pay more for electricity and water as PRC announces more than 4% hike in tariffs effective October 1.
We have details of that plus reactions from industry players also here on your election command center. The NDC has launched the Women and Children Manifesto in the Ashanti region. We have details of the pointers of the manifesto as was launched earlier today. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're streaming live right now on Facebook at 3FM 927. Grace Hammoah is here with a summary of the news. Grace.
Yes, Alfred. And the leadership of the University of Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has expressed displeasure over the government's failure to show up for a conversation on Galamsey and its related matters. Speaking at the council meeting in Wa, senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Ransford Jampo, fumed over the gross disrespect to the union after only NDC showed up. Professor Jampo advised the NDC to maintain the same level of respect shown to the union, emphasizing that power will change hands and reveal people's true positions. Away from that, the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, says his next administration in 2025 would ensure that at least 30% of his appointments are women. Speaking during the party's launch of the Women's Manifesto in Kumasi on Monday, the former president assured women that he will fully implement the Affirmative Action Act. And family of level 200 pharmacy student of the University for Development Studies UDS Tamale, who was allegedly stabbed multiple times to death, is demanding justice. The deceased Mohammed Zakiu Wumpini reportedly died on Wednesday, September 25, after being allegedly stabbed in the chest at the university campus. His lifeless body was found on Thursday, September 26 on university campus after several attempts to reach him on phone proved futile. Initial reports suggest the possibility of an armed robbery as Zakiu's phone and motorcycle were missing from the scene. However, accounts from his family indicate that his valuables were found intact, raising suspicion that this may have been a targeted killing rather than a robbery. And before I go, the growing number of children diagnosed with measles, rubella in the Ashanti region has become a major health concern for the Ghana Health Service. The region's case is said to have moved from 9 in 2018 to 114 in mid-2024. Alarmed with the worrying trend, the Regional Health Directorate is targeting vaccinating 1 million children between 9 to 59 months in the region. That's it for the summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Hammoah. Let's bring you the details of our stories now. And the campaign against illegal mining, also known as Galamsey, is expected to receive its biggest boost after organizers of the Free the Citizens and Stop Galamsey movement agreed on routes with the police for a 3-day protest. The march aims to pile pressure on the government to halt illegal mining, as well as the pollution of water bodies and destruction of the environment. It comes a week after a similar protest by Democracy Hub that resulted in the arrest of several protesters. Noble Crosby announced through a meeting between the organizers and the police ahead of the upcoming protest. Listen.
The fight against illegal mining, also known as Galamsey, appears to have reignited tensions between citizens and government. Protesters are demanding urgent action to protect water bodies and restore environmental stability. However, these calls for reforms took a troubling turn when 53 demonstrators from Democracy Hub were arrested and remanded in custody after a protest escalated into a confrontation with police at the 37 military intersection. The continued remand of these protesters, combined with what appears to be very little action against illegal mining, has sparked yet another protest.
We take it as a responsibility to stand for the nation in times like this. And what we have to do, that is why we are calling on all Ghanaians to come on board to help us put our voices there as our clenched fist against Galamsey. That is the first thing. We are also embarking on this demonstration not only to alert the public about the devastating effect of Galamsey and to petition the ministry responsible, but also to call for an end to unconstitutional conduct by state authorities. We believe that the Ghana police have every right to do their work, but then when it comes to constitutional breaches or unconstitutional conduct, it is not something we will sit and then watch.
The conveners of the Free the Citizens and Stop Galamsey protest affirm that all necessary agreements with the police have been reached to ensure a peaceful demonstration.
The police have agreed to our routes, that is from Okonglo straight to Independence Square. Everything else has been agreed by the police. All the engagement we've had concerning crowd management, concerning the responsibility of the protesters and that of the police, I think everything has been very fruitful. We are going to follow suit with the police and act within the remit of the law to make sure that we do not disturb public peace and public order. We are petitioning the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. We are petitioning the Attorney General's office. We are petitioning Parliament, to act promptly on the concerns we are going to raise.
Brownson Adati denied allegations that the protest is politically motivated.
Some people say we have interest. Oh yes, we have an interest, and the interest is Ghana. The interest we have as organizers is to see a better Ghana, to wake up to a day where we can defend our country against any government. We can defend our country against any happening, and that is the interest we have.
The demonstration is expected to start from Okonglo and terminate at the Independence Square in Accra, with petitions submitted to Parliament, the Lands Ministry and the Attorney General.
Noble Crosby Annan filed that report. Brownson Adache is the convener for the protest. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. And thank you. I want to send an evening greeting to your viewers this evening.
We heard you in that report put together by my colleague, but would you say that at this stage you're satisfied with the routes the police has designated for your protest?
That's great. I think we had an engagement with the police earlier today, and as we put out earlier in the press, we are satisfied with the meeting because the route has been agreed on. The terms of the letter we set has been agreed on as well, and I think we now have the right as citizens to go onto the streets to put our voices out there.
And you're asking for 3 days. Why are you going on this protest for 3 days?
Yes, I think the severity of the issues at hand is what is calling for the number of days. Now, we are looking at protesting against Galamsey and its devastating effect on our lives. And this issue is a very serious issue because it's life-threatening and it's more confronting than anything else that we have to do within the day. So we are actually going on 3 days because the problems confronting us seems to be more than the comfort we have to enjoy. And we are also looking at petitioning some authorities like Attorney General to release the protesters that have been remanded, which we think is unlawful and a breach on their human rights. And then we're also looking at asking state authorities to stop unconstitutional conduct in all manners. And the most important thing, Galamsey. So we want to serve a petition to the Attorney General's office, to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and to Parliament. And on the last day, which is the Saturday, we will be holding a vigil at the Independence Square, and we'll be projecting all the videos and pictures of the symbolic effect of Galamsey. So I think 3 days will be enough for us to be able to carry out this activity and to also stress on the severity of the issue and the damages that have been caused.
Beyond the 3-day protest and the petitions you intend to submit, how else do you expect the government to commit? Because this would follow another protest by Democracy Hub. Some of the protesters were even arrested from there. We don't seem to have heard much from the government even after this protest. How do you seek to go beyond what you're doing to get the government to attend to the issue?
Okay, so the problem here is that we realize that the protest by Democracy Hub wasn't successful. They were not able to put out their voices there because their voices were tortured and punctured. Now, what we are doing is to make sure the fight against Galamsey does not die down. And we want to stress on the fight to let authorities know or leadership know that this concerns all of us. And that is why we are all coming on board. And beyond the protest, I think post-protest we will have some engagement with other sectors and other organizations to know what happens after the protest if the government does not respond to this calls or the petition.
Thank you very much. Brownson Adache is convener of the protest, which is a 3-day protest against illegal mining starting from tomorrow. Well, as you may be aware, the government has until close of work today to avoid a full-blown industrial action over its failure to hit demands by labor groups in declaring a state of emergency over the country's illegal mining challenge. Over 10 labor groupings, including the Ghana Medical Association, as well as the Nurses and Midwives Association, have called on the government to, as a matter of urgency, declare a state of emergency and ban small-scale mining activities in the country to stop the ongoing destruction of the country's forests and water bodies. Now, despite a September 30 ultimatum, which is today, the government has only, in response, set up a 5-member ad hoc ministerial committee to assess its ongoing fight. Let's speak to Abraham Kumsin, who is General Secretary, Ghana Federation of Labour. Sir, if you can hear us, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
What has been the response since the last meeting with the ministerial task force, if any?
Oh, nothing. We had a meeting with the task force and we stressed on our demand. That is the deadline we give them lapses today. And as of today, as far as I'm concerned, we haven't heard from government. So tomorrow, organized labor is meeting the TUC building at 1 o'clock. So our plans as to how we're going to, we have 2 options, either strikes or demonstrations. So it is tomorrow that we'll take the decision as to how to, move on.
But ahead of tomorrow, though, I mean, you made a number of demands, including cessation of all small-scale mining. Judging by the unofficial comment from leading members of the governing party, does it look like your demands will be met?
Oh, no, we had some irresponsible statements coming from some MPs, and it is worrying. But we will not waste much time on them. We are dealing with government directly. So if by today work has already ended, by the close of work today, we haven't heard anything. So we hope maybe by midnight something will come out. If not, we have already scheduled a meeting of organized labor for tomorrow 1 p.m. And very sure, I don't want to preempt what is going to happen there. So let's wait and see how members are going to, contribute to. But certainly, we're going to take either demonstrations or strike action.
Let's wait and see. 517, organized labor hasn't heard anything. Are you disappointed that up until now, before your meeting, you still haven't heard anything?
Oh, but the president himself, you see his demeanor when the GJ president mentioned this issue. You see how the man was behaving. So perhaps he's not around at all. Either he's staying outside this country or even though his body is here. But I don't think that spiritually the soul is around. So he doesn't see anything wrong with what is going on. So let's see what happens tomorrow. But the man himself there, it's very difficult to tell what is really worrying him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. You can die and he alone will live with his family and that sort of thing. So because his ministers are misbehaving. That's how they are even talking. How we were even expecting that you will call them to order. That look, organize the bars threatened. So please, tone down. And some of his food soldiers who are so don't mind organize the bar. For them, they are doing concert. Yes, the concert will do it proper when the time comes. So they should prepare to listen, watch us display like Baumia has been dancing. We'll be dancing with Baumia.
Let's wait till tomorrow.
Let's wait till tomorrow. Before the close of day tomorrow, we will have known exactly the way forward.
All right, we'll end it here. Thank you very much. That was Abraham Ocansey. He's General Secretary, Ghana Federation of Labour. Thank you for speaking to us. Let's also bring in Alfred Ocansey. She's co-founder and national coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens. Good evening to you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
You were with us just last week, really, as we spoke about this illegal mining issue. And yet again, the president seemed to have missed the opportunity to speak to the public on Galamsey when he had the chance to speak at the 28th GJA Awards. Surprised?
Not really, because perhaps he has got nothing new to say. We know he put his presidency on the line 7 years ago, and things have now gone from bad to worse. And we can see the state of our water bodies, the state of our forest reserves, the warnings we are getting from Ghana Water Company. So perhaps he has nothing to say, but I'm disappointed because he could have redeemed his presidency by saying that we're going to declare state of emergency. We're going to send officers to the forest reserves and to the river bodies to get everybody out and all the equipment out, as demanded by a cross-section of interested persons, stakeholders, from the Catholic Bishop Conference to the Christian Council to CSOs to Media Against Galamsey to UTAG to the GMA to organized labor. He could have stepped up and redeemed his presidency and said that yes, we are going to accept the proposals that have been made. We're going to pause community or small-scale mining. We're going to see to the repeal of LI 2460. And he would have been able to redeem his policy, his presidency, and he chose to remain mute on those points.
So I suspect that, like Abraham Ocansey told us, tomorrow you would also be, as it were, collaborating with your colleagues on the way forward, either demonstration or an industrial action. Am I right?
Well, something has to happen. Today, close of day is the deadline. It's quite clear that there are no indications that our demands are going to be met. And therefore, we who care about Ghanaians, we who realize that we face an existential threat, we cannot sit down whilst we are being poisoned, knowing that there's a rise in kidney disease and cancers and maternal deaths and stillborn babies, deformities and so on and so forth. If the government won't act, then we have the responsibility to ensure that we encourage the government to act. Let me state this. When unarmed demonstrators went on the street to protest against illegal mining, they have been arrested. Look at the irony of it. The protesters have been arrested. Some of them have been denied their human rights, and some of them have been denied the right to seek counsel and to get their medication. And yet the criminals, the environmental terrorists, are walking around free. Those who are poisoning up and destroying the landscape, forests, and water bodies. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Awula Sewa, co-founder and national coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens. We say being long on this because the Ghana Journalists Association says President Akufo-Addo must walk the talk when it comes to the fight against illegal mining. He spoke at the 28th Awards night of the Ghana Journalists Association.
Mr. President, the father of the nation, made a firm vow to stop Galamsey. But regrettably, that promise has not been fulfilled, Mr. President. You have barely 3 months until the end of the administration, and we are hopeful that you will deal with the situation before you leave office. We still maintain that a state of emergency must be declared over our water bodies, and all planned and active mining concessions overlapping with river buffers should be abrogated, and all mining activities within 100 meters buffer of all rivers and streams should be halted with immediate effect. We also reiterate that LI 2462 should be repealed immediately.
And you heard the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jomfo. You're still here on Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. Stay with us.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. Now, the family of a level 200 pharmacy student of the University for Development Studies, UDS Tamale, who was allegedly stabbed multiple times to death, is demanding justice. The deceased, Mohammed Wumpini, reportedly died on Wednesday, September 25, after being stabbed in the chest at the university campus. His lifeless body was found on Thursday, September 26, on the university campus after several attempts to reach him on the phone proved futile. Now, initial reports suggest the possibility of an armed robbery attack as Zakui's phone and motorcycle were missing from the scene. And Christopher Mwako is a man on the ground from the northern region. He joins us live on the line. Chris, quite a disturbing story there, but what more have you gathered about this situation?
Yes, so Beatrice, what the family is saying is that they have reported the matter to the police, and police have assured that they will investigate the matter to the last. Today, the family met to hold a 3-day funeral rites of late Zakiu. For the family, they are calling on the general public, including the police, to ensure that they get justice from the incidents that happened. They are worried that Zakiu left the house in the name of going to watch football, and the next morning his body was found at the UDS campus, and he was said to have died from some stabbings. And so they are worried and sad. The family has been calling for justice. Let's take a listen to what they've been saying.
He told my mom that he was going to a friend's house, a close friend of ours' house. Normally, that's where we watch football. So he said he was going there to go and watch a match. So my mom allowed him to go. So around 8 o'clock, his SHS, the school he attended, that's ULAG in Kumasi, they called my parents and were like, somebody was on the call with him and they heard him shouting. And that was around 8. So they heard him shouting. So we were all worried because my mom knew that he was going to watch football. So why is he shouting? So she called the friend that he was going to visit. He was supposed to go and visit. And then my friend told my mom that, oh, he just came and took the bike and said he was going to town. So from then, we're now all worried. So the next day, we went to hospitals around Tamale because we suspected that maybe he might have gotten into an accident or something. But we didn't find him there. So my mom went to the police station. On the night he passed away, that's the night he left, he sent me a Snapchat stick of the motorbike, and then the background looked like it was on campus. But I wasn't sure, so that's why I never mentioned campus. So later, the roommate called me and said he has heard that there's a dead body on campus. And when we went, he was stabbed multiple times, and then his body was on top of a building foundation, and they couldn't find the motorbike and his phone around there. Then they found the motorbike by a certain hostel, not so far from where they found his body. We are planning to pursue this more and make sure that all those that had a hand in this will pay for it.
And you had a relative of the UDS student who was stabbed. Christopher Mwako is still on the line with us. Christopher, was that the brother we just heard?
Yes, that's the brother to late Zakiu.
How about students, his college students? How are they reacting to his death?
Yes, so you know that the UDS is yet to reopen, but they still have some students on campus who are living in hostels around. And so they have expressed concerns about the lighting system around their hostels and that they live in fear as of now. And so they want school authorities to do something about it because anybody can have access to their school in and out. And so school authorities to ensure that proper security measures are put in place to protect students. Let's take a listen to what they've also been saying.
Most of us are out of the school hostel. We are out of campus. We are out of campus and we don't really feel safe. The place is always dark at night. There's no security. And when you need a tricycle to get something or go to town, the securities at the gate do not allow them in. And you have to walk a long distance before you get a tricycle. And all these are the reasons why we feel unsafe. Because imagine if I want to go out to buy something, then it's quite late, maybe 7, 8. By that time, it's not really late, but then the whole place will be dark and less people around. If I want to walk to get to the main gate to buy something, I'll have to walk a long distance and I will not get a tricycle. That makes me feel unsafe. So please, we are urging the school authorities to do whatever they can do to make us feel safe.
It hasn't been a very pleasant information for us, we, his friends, his family, and his colleagues, because we don't know why someone would just kill him just like that. And we thought it was a robbery in the beginning, but then later we realized that the bike Zakiu was riding that night was actually found at a hostel nearby, near where his body was found. So we are trying to work with the police to see if we can investigate more to know whether it was a murder or it was a robbery. And we are not safe. As students of EDS, we are actually not safe because most of the hostels are behind the Vice Chancellor's house or behind the wall. And then around that side, we don't have street lights, there are no cameras.
So we just heard that some college students of the gentleman who's been murdered. I do hope Christopher Mwako is still on the line with us. Chris, are you still with us? Okay, we seem to have lost Christopher Mwako there, but he was bringing us update on the UDS level 200 pharmacy student who has been killed and investigations perhaps underway. We'll bring you more as and when we have it.
You're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, water and electricity consumers must brace themselves to pay more for utilities as the new tariffs come into effect from tomorrow, October 1. That's in line with the latest tariff adjustment announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PRC. The Commission, in a statement, announced a 3 percentage point increase in electricity tariff and 1.86% increment for water. Now, this is set to be necessitated by the light and also water increase in terms of the cost of production. We have details of that for you, but then again, some of you have been sharing your views on the latest tariff hikes as announced by the PRC over the last 48 hours.
Brother, I have heard it just like you said. All this thing, because we care the masses, because we poor masses now, we care. Assuming that the increasement of this water, it will affect everybody, including me. Okay. Because how we are selling all this small things we are selling here and get small money in order to feed ourselves. So if they increase that water now, it will affect us, whereby the payment of the water will be too high for us.
And is it in any way going to make you increase the prices of things you sell, or increasing things you sell in your store or something?
Yes, of course, because when they increase the water, in order for me to meet up to be paying for the bill, I was supposed to put some of my goods, as in put it more money on top, so that I will from there be making the money that we used to pay for the increasement of the water and the NEPA also. Because I'm using NEPA here, and then NEPA was using here some this what do you call it here? It will not the last. We just put this like 300 Ghana cedis. That's let me call it just like 3-4 weeks.
Now I mean Medea me 10 million, Wabram 2 million. Or a year and one ma. Water bill. Company in all loot man, now say a man no loot. I mean, a one and pedamatiasi. So what I say? Ain't he abano boa, water in sewage full. Or brought a ECG full. I didn't know what. In your say, yato. Tonamaton, will you tax woman? Unima. When you say, me, Mukutia water bill, me tax. Mutia water, mutia light bill, mutia tax. I didn't say that them taxing in your one fan touch, aban help or there upon one from no wo betu.
But you should bet market yourself, or castle or Joe light bill, and yet the Utiano.
And no one year solar is better. Solar is better. Solar is better. And so when you solar, me wo call Celelion, solar no ye juma. Me muko me filabere na me be war time. Celelion, CCR solar, wo ko bi an na solar.
So that's no boy new.
Ah no boy azan kura yeah. Because solar no oyin to me say be 1 month 2 months. So when we imagine into solar is better. Say ECG to so hero to so no.
But no business because say CCR so when wait no so also have 2 we nso ne better.
On talk. Ma we CCR kwa wawia obi bu 5 obi bu 10 kra also mu bu 5. Enti eyi aditi na ye de atoto. Eyi ya de na ato no kwa yipa nyu echinji so mu bu 5 nso na we bu 10. When we imagine say wawia.
Well, those are some electricity and water consumers there, obviously not too happy about this increase as announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. But the PRC give reasons for this recent increase they announced. They say inflation is number 1, exchange rate differentials number 2, the weighted average cost of gas over the period, other underlying factors including current economic conditions and general living standards and the competitiveness and sustainability of the industry. These are the reasons given by the PRC. And let's get onto the telephone and engage a bit further on this. Nana Moisi, the 7th Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. Now, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Thanks for having me, Alfred, and good evening to your listeners.
For the listeners, if you look at the first reason, for instance, inflation, as given by the PRC, inflation has reduced consistently over the period from over 52% year on year. Today, we are talking about just about 21.5% thereabout. Would that be a justifiable reason to see an increase in electricity and water tariffs based on the evidence as we're seeing?
Well, Alfred, we have gone through the statement issued by the PRC, and we did find out that the major reason for which we are seeing this increment is ascribed to the city's depreciation and not inflation. You realize that of all the variables quoted, is the city that has been the major concern of the PRC. For the quarter ahead of us, they are envisaging something beyond 3% of depreciation. And I think that on the basis of the city's depreciation, an increase in tariff is justifiable. From the beginning of the year up to end September, we've seen the city depreciated by more than 24%. You realize, Alfred, that many of these utilities procure their services per part in dollar terms. And so anytime cities' values go down and the dollar appreciates, there will be the need to cover up that forex exposure. Hence, the increment we are seeing this time for the PRC. Not necessarily hinge on inflation, but largely on the depreciation of the city.
Well, then that could be understood. But then, because if you see, what the exchange rate differentials has been, at least for a year-on-year analysis, we're looking at, according to the Bank of Ghana's data, the city had depreciated over 22.3% between January and now. Right, so that could be the main reason for what we are seeing now, this percentage increase in electricity and water tariffs?
Exactly my point. The tariff adjustment is part of PRC's routine quarterly review, which accounts for these key economic indicators. And like you quoted, the city's depreciation, or the city this time depreciated by close to 5% against the US dollar. Inflation, not much, but there's not been any increase in natural gas costs. But given that utilities rely on foreign currency to procure their key services and parts, Alfred, definitely will see an increment in tariff.
So it appears that the consumer has no cushioning for as long as the city continues to suffer against the major trading currencies.
Unfortunately, it is the case. This time around, although the increase is relatively low, some consumers actually appreciate, especially vulnerable households, may still struggle to cope with the increases in the cost of utility, especially in times of rising inflation. One would have expected that even though there's a concern for the tariff increase, one would have expected that we will have seen service delivery quality enhanced. Unfortunately, the tariff increases, as we are seeing this time, may not address the unreliable power supply, may not address the revenue leakages, and we cannot be sure that we'll have consistent and reliable power supply in the next quarter, unfortunately. Until the ECG address the deficiencies, the inefficiencies in the cash waterfall mechanisms, we'll still struggle with power supply reliability. And because of that revenue leakages, the PRC may be tempted to apply the economic indicators strictly and sometimes the advantage of the consumer. And so while we have this revenue leakages, one should still expect some tariff increases as well as unreliable power supply.
So in the midst of continuous increases in tariffs, we're also, based on what you're saying, to accept that harsh reality that even what we are paying for, we will not get it regularly.
Exactly the case. From our data, we believe that the increase we are seeing is justifiable based on the economic condition and the financial needs of the utilities. However, for full public acceptance of this tariff, there will be the need for transparent effort by the utilities to improve service quality and efficiency alongside these periodic tariff adjustments.
But how can that be achieved? I mean, maybe quickly before we go.
We can only achieve this if ECG is able to reduce its huge losses in the system, technical losses, commercial losses, very key. With competent leadership, with strict adherence to PRC regulations and directives, with effort in addressing the technical leakages and the commercial leakages, our heads can be kept afloat in the coming years.
Nana, I appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me once again.
And I'm with the 7th is the Secretary of the Institute for Energy Security there. And that reality that for as long as these systemic issues within the ECG continues, we may be paying higher for tariffs, but no assurance of consistent supply of electricity. And this is what the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boakye, has also been speaking to. What he says has to be an overhaul of the entire management of ECG to ensure that these issues within that particular company are addressed.
I mean, we can only be thankful when such people exit their job. And we have been questioning over time how we have people managing an organization that terribly and not delivering value. And the budget keep paying for this weight. Alfred, the amount of money we spend on social investment, capital investment in education, agriculture, health, gender, social protection, and all of that, it's less than 30% of how much we give to ECG to survive. So ECG is bankrupt without the state, in essence. And it's a critical time for us to look at how we resolve that permanently and take that burden of the budget. Beyond the debt that we see in the books of ECG, also other debts that are sitting with government that have to be paid. Developed, it has procured engineers in-house to build an app and buy APIs to be able to sell power, digitalize their systems, and be more efficient. And suddenly, management comes up one day and said that system is inefficient. Somebody has hacked it. People are selling power at the back end without the management knowing. And the solution was to shut down that system and outsource the service. And I was like, the banks and all institutions of our time are building robust IT departments to be able to address their problems.
That's Ben Boakye, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy there. And in response to this, Haptel has issued a statement also indicating what they have described as some false statement seems to be designed to totally discredit their work over the period, indicating a statement that Ben Boakye made earlier about the ECG paying them some $25 million for the Power App software. They say that at the start of the project, $25 million was only a figure set out as the cost limit by the board of directors of ECG, and that Haptel has not been paid that $25 million. With the guidance of the company and other third-party service providers, ECG spent about $12 million of the $25 million cost limit to replace old and obsolete systems that were causing severe revenue losses and frequent downtimes. Also, these included the upgrading of its core database from Oracle 10G to Oracle 19C, a new balance of management and accounting systems. And the new ECG Power App is only one of the cost lines within these expenditure items, as was outlined earlier. Also, they make references and responses to the said 171 million CDs for the said Power App, according to the company, as mentioned, and also in their latest press release following the signing of the agreement, some $12 million, that's cumulatively amounting to 171 million Ghana cedis, has been used so far to overhaul ECG's old and obsolete systems as part of the said project. And this is one that we'll keep an eye on as well, and how things play out here on Hot Edition. And also the family, as we're speaking now, of this level 200 pharmacy students of University of Development Studies. We're keeping an eye on that as well, because we understand that the family is set to petition the Inspector General of Police, IGP, for some further investigation into this matter. We'll keep an eye on that as well and be updating you here on Hot Edition. But there is growing number of children diagnosed with measles, rubella in the Ashanti region has become a major health concern for the Ghana Health Service. The region's case is said to have moved from 9 in 2018 to 114 in mid-2024. Alarmed with the worrying trend, the Regional Health Directorate is targeting vaccinating 1 million children between 9 to 59 months in the region as part of the national vaccination exercise to prevent the surge in cases and associated mortality. Take a listen.
Though Ghana has made significant gains in controlling measles, as record shows that no child has died from measles in the country for the past 15 years, the disease is endemic. Health officials in the Ashanti region, however, fear the surge in cases may not only maim children, but also cause their death if not tackled. Addressing the media in Kumasi, Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Alfred Adu expects parents to ensure that their children between 9 to 59 months are not left out of the nationwide immunization exercise scheduled to begin on October 2 to October 6.
Measles, rubella kills. The complications are something that you cannot really pay for. And you never know who is going to be at risk. I believe that you don't want your child to have to be blind or to be deaf. And this is the opportunity that you have, that you can vaccinate your child against measles and rubella. And we said that vitamin A is also a challenge. Therefore, we are taking opportunity to give every susceptible child vitamin A during this campaign. So when you see our health workers coming, the idea is to protect your children against these preventable diseases.
The increasing cases of hypertension in the region is also a cause for concern to health officials. The Health Directorate is taking steps to control the mortality rates linked to hypertension.
A lot of people are having hypertension, but they don't know. That is the problem. And so our campaign is to make sure that a lot of people with this disease, but unknown to them, should be picked up. So for us, our intention is to screen as much as possible to pick these people. Because if you even look at the heart failure, 75% of heart failure is caused by hypertension. Hypertension, that we can do a lot.
As a report by my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, so live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And the organized labor is lacing its boots tomorrow. It's a crunch meeting which will decide on what next move to take in the fight against illegal mining. They had served notice that they had given government up until the end of that's September, which is today, for government to announce pragmatic and far-reaching measures to deal with the devastating effect of illegal mining. As we speak, they have indicated there is no sign that government is tackling this matter as urgently as expected. And this is Professor Ransford Jampo, who is the president of the University of Ghana, University Teachers Association of Ghana chapter, and he spoke earlier today.
Members may be aware that we have thrown similar invitations to other political parties. They have not listened to us. Today we were supposed to have a dialogue with the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources on Galamsey. He didn't show up. He asked the Director for Minerals Commission to be here. He also didn't show up. And then just at last minute, when I texted to find out from them, they both said they are out of the country and they are asking a rep from WA to come. You see, whether we like it or not, there will be December 7 elections and power will change hands. Whether it will change hands to those seeking to break in the 8th, or it will change hands to Movement for Change, or it will change hands to NDC, definitely power will change hands. And for some of us, depending on how the elections go, we'll either remain in this country to continue to work or we will leave. Now, whether we are gone or we are here, we want to see the same kind of respect you've shown us. Tomorrow, should you get the opportunity to be in power, I want you to show us the same kind of respect you've accorded us now that you are looking for political power.
As Professor Ransford Jampo is president of the University of Ghana UTAC chapter. There, some 7 minutes up there. We're back shortly after this quick break with the business news with Michael Obodo. Stay with us.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposits. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302-200-390 or 0596-928-33 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, newly introduced Bank of Ghana gold coin faces fresh criticism as economists raises concerns over election timing. I am Michael Obodo. I'll bring you details of our top story and more shortly. Please stay. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story, as US-based economist Dr. Saad Idrisu has raised concerns over the Bank of Ghana's gold coin initiative. Even though he described it as a novel effort to stabilize the depreciating cedi, he, however, questions the timing of the policy coming just 3 months before elections. He has therefore called for close scrutiny of the policy.
The Bank of Ghana gold purchase coin program is a novel initiative and it could help stabilize the depreciating cedi. However, given barely 3 months to an election, where polls suggest that the ruling party is likely to lose the election, it raises concerns about the sincerity of this policy. It seems BOJ is providing an avenue for government appointees to launder stolen funds before they leave office. And I think the Office of Special Prosecutor, opposition parties, civil societies, the media, general public, and all Ghanaians should be concerned and get interested about this policy to actually know what is going on at BOJ.
So that was US-based economist Dr. Saad Idrisu speaking there. Now, data from the Bank of Ghana shows that mobile money transactions reached almost 1.8 trillion cedis between January and August 2024, a significant increase from the 1.03 trillion in the same period the previous year. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
Mobile money transactions in Ghana have hit 1.775 trillion cedis in the first 8 months of 2024, according to data from the Bank of Ghana. This figure represents a substantial increase from 1.031 trillion cedis recorded in the same period last year. The growth in mobile money transactions underscores the increasing role of digital financial services in Ghana's economy and represents a key opportunity for deepening financial inclusion. However, it raises questions about the country's electronic transaction levy, commonly known as e-levy, as revenue gains from the levy have yet to meet expectations. The Bank of Ghana's September 2024 Summary of Economic and Financial Data reveals fluctuations in transaction volumes, with January starting at 198.4 billion cedis, dipping to 181.9 billion cedis in March, before surging to 273.6 billion cedis in August 2024. This growth trend could signal increasing adoption of mobile money services, which continues to transform the financial landscape in Ghana.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, Ghana leads West Africa in the implementation of a multinational enterprises M&E declaration by the International Labour Organization, ILO. The ILO describes the M&E as means of balancing issues around trade with labor rights, with the aim to promote decent work within multinational enterprises working in Ghana and elsewhere. Dr. Vanessa Fala is ILO Director for Ghana and some African countries.
It's no longer just about profits, but to making sure that enterprises, they contribute to the communities where they do business, and they really support the various initiatives in those communities, but also most importantly to support workers who are contributing meaningfully to the development and the growth of those enterprises. One core element of the M&E declaration, in addition to workers' rights, issues around social protection, there's a component of lifelong learning. This is a contribution to make sure that the enterprises are also contributing to skills development and advancement of those that are working in the enterprises.
So that was ILO Director for Ghana and some African countries, Dr. Vanessa Fala, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.
To the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
The most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and well-versed analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported. All the big stories covered.
All facts cross-checked. Every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive elections coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
I wake up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helena Biambofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
FM 92.7.
Well, it's time for sports here on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Oswanta. It's been an interesting day with Antoine Griezmann calling his retirement when it comes to football. But before we get into any of those details, let's quickly go to Parliament, where the Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports and Culture have been engaging stakeholders of the Ghana Football Association to make sure that things and matters are resolved. My colleague Bill Ishan has been in Parliament since morning, and he currently gives us an update. Bill, we know that the FA president were the ones who were being spoken to together with the rest of the Executive Council and some key members of the GFA. What are the major takeaways from their engagement?
Well, from the side of the GFA president, a number of questions were asked about specifically the executive committee and their sort of allowance that they received, especially from the Qatar 2022 World Cup. And of course, the president of the GFA, Kato Kweku, stated in no uncertain terms that the GFA did not pay that money. It was the government that paid that money to the management committee. And also, Randy Abbey defended the decision to pay them that remuneration of about $100,000, stating that this management committee put in a lot of effort over 4 years to qualify the Black Stars to the World Cup. There was also concerns and questions raised about selection of national team players, and the committee members were trying to state that there has been influences on coaches when it comes to selection, and the GFA president also stated that the GFA does not interfere when it comes to selection. They hire the coach for the purpose of selecting the best team possible, and they allow the coach to do his work freely and without any influence. And also, earlier in the day, there was a referees committee, the referees association that was invited over to Parliament, and they highlighted on a number of issues that is going on with them. One of them, a key one, is that they believe that the relationship that they have with the Ghana Football Association is a strained one, since their last expose in 2018, where now they do not get much report from, Ghana Premier League games, Division 1 League games as well. They do not get much reports at all. And of course, you also mentioned their remuneration and how they feel it is low for them to do their work, which, also brings the question of corruption. And they did highlight that it is something that is of huge concern to them, and they do want to address that in the best way possible. And so these were some of the key takeaways from today's meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee. Of course, they also invited Alfred Ocansey, who was the technical director of the Ghana Football Association, and he also mentioned his, sort of solutions that he believes that the GFA can implement to improve Ghana football.
Well, to improve Ghana football. But Bill, did the FA president come alone? How many executive council members could you count who are with him, and any other key members of the GFA?
Yes, so it looked like the FA came in with a very, very strong force. So with the FA, with the president, that is Kete Kweku, we have Makado, who is in the room as the vice president. We have Randy Abe, who is in the room. We have Nano Odrosafo in the room. We have Neil Armstrong Motabe in the room. We have Freddie Champong in the room as well. We have Henry Asante Chum in the room. We have a number of people in the room. I could count about 6 members of the executive committee who were all seated there and then ready to, communicate and defend, the GFA's position on Ghana football.
Thank you so much, Belishan, and we just hope that you quickly get back to us. There's going to be lots of what you need to know on 3 Sports GH across all the socials, and also on News 360 and all our other bulletins. Don't forget that 3 Sports GH has all the exclusive content for you on YouTube. But before we move away from this issue with the Ghana Football Association and then the meeting at the Parliamentary Committee, Select Committee on Sports, we've lost Bill on the line. Let's go to the Referees Association of Ghana, and George Seja was present to address the consent, and he has requested for referees to be part of the GFA's Executive Council, and this comes amidst increasing concerns about the performance of referees in Ghana's domestic leagues, including the Ghana Premier League. Addressing these concerns, Seja explained to the Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth, Sports and Culture that Premier League referees would need this to enable them share their consent to the committee.
We feel, in our own estimation, that if we have someone there from us and our issues are carried up there, they will listen to it, give us the feedback, and that's our main focus. Now, I also look at members constituted over there, that is ESCO. I don't want to talk so much about that in the sense that they come from various groupings, Division 1, etc., Premier, etc. From those blocks, that's where these elections are held at the Congress, and they are appointed to that particular level. But with us, we are not looking for a position where there will be election to elect us together. If we can just have representation over there, when there are meetings, we listen to it and we share ideas there, engage. That will help resolve most of these issues that are currently being written and looking forward to be resolved.
So that is retired referee George Seja there to the Parliamentary Select Committee. He's the chairman of the Referees Association of Ghana. Now, at the same setting, former technical director of the Ghana Football Association, Francis Otiakenten, shared his thoughts about external influences with regards to coaches taking decisions on players, especially with the various national teams. He revealed how things could differ between other managers.
We are human beings and we are different. We are brought up from different homes. So like I was saying at first earlier, that Mr. Benkofi at a certain time, I'm surprised that my brothers, they are young ones, so they don't know. Somebody was influenced, but Mr. Menkofi called the president, like I said, because I was the technical director. Mr. Menkofi also alerted me, and we met together, and we settled it. So definitely, we are not the same. Definitely, we are not the same. We are different characters, and some will go in, and some will not. So, but to come out and say that yes, I saw this man doing this or doing that one I can't.
So that is a former technical director of the Ghana Football Association, Francis Otia Kenten. He currently serves as a technical director for that is Bichim FC in the Ghana Premier League. But let's give an update on the current situation with the Black Stars needing a venue for the next Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Sudan. That will be coming up on the 11th of October. As it stands now, it is likely that Ghana will be playing that game in the country and will not be playing outside as speculated earlier. This comes after CAF revoked the license of the Barbara Sports Stadium, which was on conditional approval for Category C matches. CAF inspected the Cape Coast Stadium on Friday to get to know whether progress of works would allow Ghana and Sudan to play at the Cape Coast Stadium. The Accra Sports Stadium was also inspected on Saturday to ascertain the development of works. Well, there have been current pictures ongoing that shows great progression with regards to the pitch, but as to whether the other facilities, including the dressing room, the bathtubs, as well as drainage and security at the mix zone, would be good enough for an international game, which is Category C, would be another question altogether. So wait to see how things will pan out. Let's stay on the local scene to talk about the Ghana Premier League, where Accra Football coach Abubakar Atara was so much not happy with the indiscipline that went on during the game between his side, Accra Hatofuk, and Nations FC at Abrankese.
You are using the big words in discipline. When you are using in discipline, I can ask you the question you ask your team, your discipline. But that question is not in any program of the journalist. You understand? When you are coming to ask the question, tell yourself the question won't ask is normal or not.
So that is from Abubakar Atara. He wasn't really happy with that. Now to Asante Kotoko head coach. It's been 5 seasons since Kotoko won at the Brekum Golden City Park, and last Sunday he had to take Zakaria Husseini's equalizer to prevent the Porcupines from running away with a 1-goal victory. Prosper Nateogum after the game in Brekum on Sunday.
We had numerous of them that we should have converted. There were a lot of spaces. There were a lot of spaces behind the laterals, and then we tried to play the balls behind the laterals, which was very good. Out of that, we got a goal. So we continued, had the chances, but we couldn't convert. Both teams showed a lot of intensity in terms of trying to pin the opponent to their half with the ball. So it was a good game.
So that is it there from Prosper Nate Ogum. Let's move on away from the local scene to the international scene. And the Cameroonian Football Association President Samuel Etofis has been handed a 6-month ban from attending any international matches involving the Central African country by a FIFA disciplinary panel. The former Barcelona and Chelsea striker was sanctioned following breaches of 2 articles of the World Governing Body's disciplinary code. As it stands now, the ban would serve Eto to prevent him from being part of the next African Nations Cup qualifiers. Well, it is in connection with the Under-20 Women's World Cup last 16 game between Cameroon and Brazil on the 11th of September, where the South Americans won by 3-1 after extra time. According to a FIFA statement, articles relating to offensive behavior and violations of the principles of fair play and misconduct of players and officials were breached at the game in Bogota, Colombia, which Eto attended. The 43-year-old is now prevented from attending all football matches involving men's and women's representative sides from Cameroon, covering all categories and age groups. Very unfortunate one for him. So Cameroon will be facing Kenya in a qualification doubleheader for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in October. Now, some latest news coming in, and Antoine Griezmann, who is a French forward, has announced his retirement from international football. The 33-year-old who plays for Atletico Madrid made 137 appearances for the French national team, scoring 44 goals and helping them to win the 2018 World Cup, converting a penalty in the final as France beat Croatia 4-2 in Moscow. He also won the 2021 Nations League trophy with his country. And staying with Antoine Griezmann in Madrid, and his rival Thibaut Courtois is expected to miss Wednesday's UEFA Champions League game at Lille with a hip injury. Real have confirmed that the Belgian suffered an abductor injury in his left leg during their 1-0 draw with Atletico Madrid in the La Liga on Sunday. Ukraine international Andre Lunin is expected to deputize in goal against Lille when striker Kylian Mbappe has also made a sharp return to the squad after missing Sunday's match with a thigh injury. Now let's stay in Europe, where it's going to be a cagey encounter with the UEFA Champions League match week 2 coming up, and Arsenal will be playing against PSG, where Ousmane Dembele has been dropped by Luis Enrique after a spat with him in the dressing room following the weekend's French League game. Mikel Arteta is looking forward to a very big clash against his former side.
It's the kind of nights that we want to experience, we want to have against an unbelievable opponent, and we're just ready for it.
So far this season, you've had to show so many different types of mentality. 10 men at Manchester City, losing the lead at the weekend and going right to the final whistle to win. How pleased have you been with what the mentality that the team has shown so far?
Yeah, as you said, a very different one. You know, we end up having to play a very different game in the second half against City, and at the end losing 2 points in the last minute. We did completely the opposite, playing a low block like we did against them, and with different challenging, but watching the game backward, the amount of things that we generated, so pleased with the team.
Very much pleased with the team. Mikel Arteta there. Their match is coming up this evening in the La Liga. Villarreal play against Las Palmas. Game kicks off at 7 p.m. In the Serie A, there is Parma against Cagliari. And in England, there is Bournemouth against Southampton. Antoine Semenyo is starting the game for Bournemouth. Let's finish off with some very sad news. An NBA Hall of Famer, Dikembe Mutombo, has died from brain cancer at the age of 58. The 8-time NBA All-Star who retired in 2009 spent 18 years playing in the league for the Denver Nuggets, with Atlanta Hawks, Philadelphia 76ers, New Jersey Nets, New York Knicks, and Houston Rockets. Mutombo began treatment for a brain tumor in October 2022. Dikembe Mutombo was simply larger than life, said NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. That'll be all for sports here on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Owusu-Ansah. Hot Edition continues with lots more stories on 3news.com. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Kelvin Owusu-Ansah, for bringing us the latest in sports. And the presidential candidate of the party, John Mahama, says his next administration in 2025 would ensure that at least 30% of his appointments will be women. Speaking during the NDC's launch of the Women's Manifesto in Kumasi earlier today, the former president assured women that he will fully implement the Affirmative Action Act.
Approval Mrebia your friend Affirmative Action Act. Our president didn't start to say. Nasa Affirmative Action Act, appointments, political appointments, I was say by 2025, I was say at least 30% of those appointments. And Sir Emrano essentially said, 30% here, the special say 2025. No, you drew 2028. I was say it drew 35%. Into and yet say it na 30%. By 2028, I was say it drew 35%. And by 2030, I will say a year 50% of appointments must go to women. Emrano so say I will say you pay the number of Emma your far was security services, they say police. We must increase the number of women in the police service and other security services. We must also increase the number of women in all public institutions, such as Parliament, the executive, and also the private sector. Private sector so can home. Enti there, ya buying for eba, ye NDC ya buying. Sa emre ye debe ye juma papa. Ezu Emrembi so wo a eda ho che I just enyanhwe na NDC aban ba ya de a ye bebo modia se ne be ya parliament ebe pass samra no ba ko property rights of spouses bill.
And you heard that former President John Mahama, flag bearer of the opposition NDC, at the launch of the party's Women Manifesto. Well, the running mate to him, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, also has some words to speak at this program. Listen.
Why do we join this party? Yeah, party no. Yeah, sisa yeah shase sabi eduasa oni bi onu so benya kakra. Yeah, tia hwese nipa bi asabe ebi no no manko school na mo di nkrofo manko school achi. Enti dean. Enti ade ben. Wanko school achi so onya Ghana ni. Achi so onya ebusuani. Achi so onhwe fie. Achi so onhwe amofra. Sa kasa na free ye ne nya sa kasa ne bi. Yesi obi amra. Wo ye tietie wo ye tintin o wo fidie yo. Yesi bra. Ye je obi anya fe ne be chereche bebi a wo fi. NDC. We are founded on the principles of social democracy.
And you heard Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. She is the running mate to flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, also speaking at the launch of the party's Women Manifesto. We stay a bit long on politics because Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gache, has joined the chorus calling for the Electoral Commission to audit the voters' register for the 2024 elections. Main opposition National Democratic Congress, which has been at the far front demanding for an audit of the electoral roll, claims that the register is fraught with irregularities. Delivering the maiden public lecture series hosted by the Financial Forum, Professor Gache emphasized the need for the EC to act promptly on the demand. Listen to exactly what he said.
Independent constitutional bodies are not secret societies, and that they must be open to the processes of accountability and transparency. And again, I did indicate that there is the international best practice that ensures that there is post-registration audit, both internal and external, before elections are conducted. And the international bodies have done that in Mexico twice, 2006 and 2012. They have done it in Tunisia, they have done it in Kenya, they have done it in Zimbabwe, using accounting firms for the process. And no audit is done to assure stakeholders by using internal auditors. That is not done in any jurisdiction. And I also indicate that the EC is co-financed by donor support and the government of Ghana. And if you want to be credible in the international cycle, you should do what is done in the international cycle.
And you heard the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi. And that's it for Campaign Trail on Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. And that's it for Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. I did this with Alfred Ocansey. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to ShriNews.com for more news. Join me at 9 p.m. on TV3 for Agenda tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.